Back here at Chris Mannix. Time now for Friday's top stories. Starting with number 3, the Lakers will reportedly sign Dion Waiters for the remainder of this season. Nick, you said you'd rather have the Lakers sign nobody than bring Waiters in.
Yeah, I'd rather, well, what I said was I'd rather than leave the roster spot open. Then Waiters scares me. It's going to be great. The Waiters is not necessarily the, mature final piece of a championship
team. Is this a gummy conversation? Is that what we're having?
Well, it's all of it.
For him, though, too.
I think JR would have been a better fit. Now, Sham Charania, who broke the story, said the Lakers were very clear with Waiters and his people that if it doesn't work out, they reserve the right to waive him. But yeah, of course, you reserve the right to waive everyone. I'll root for Dion. I like Dion. I like Dion's representation a lot. He just got to be a hell of a lot more mature than he was in Miami this year, Mannix.
They had some success with Dwight Howard as a reclamation project, but if Dion Waiters is playing meaningful minutes in a playoff game, something has gone dramatically wrong in Los Angeles.
Good point. All right, number 2.
You like it? Well, I love it. You're nuts.
We got Steph Curry's return after missing 58 games. The baby-faced assassin returned to the Warriors lineup. Gave you 23.7 boards, 7 assists in 27 minutes. Wild, you impressed by Curry's return?
I am impressed. My son's favorite player, Steph Curry, I told him he was coming back, and his face lit up with laughter and smiles. But no, I got 2 kids.
Oh.
One Russ, one Billy. In any event, Mannix, I don't know if they're trying to win games. You're saying like flattened lottery odds. I'm supposed to not worry about having the #1 pick?
Well, I don't think it matters. Like the teams with the 2 worst records last year didn't have the #1 overall pick, and I don't think the Warriors can do too much to affect their draft odds. Plus, they can play spoiler down the stretch if Steph Curry's in the game.
Are you arguing he should have sat longer?
I just don't know.
He missed
I'm arguing this.
games with a broken hand.
No, when Kerr pulled him out, they could have won that game. Pulled him out with 8 minutes in the 4th. Down 2, they could have won the game.
Right, but that's because they said going into the game he's on a minutes restriction.
Nobody's like having so much fun. You could say like, the minutes restriction.
The NBA is better with Steph Curry back. I wish he hadn't missed 3/4 of the season with a broken offhand, but he did. Now, the idea that he shouldn't play full, he should play full moving forward. This was a game.
On to our top story now. Rockets hosting the Clippers last night. Small ball on a big stage, and the big stage won. Houston's starting lineup finished just 2 of 23 from deep. Clippers get the easy win. Nick, does this game say more about the Clippers and what they're doing, or the Rockets and what they seemingly haven't been able to do?
All right, credit to the Clippers, first of all. Longest winning streak in the league. They've won 6 in a row ever since Kawhi had that we got to get our bleep together moment in the press conference. They've been playing great. They've been healthy. And in the first half of that game, defensively, that it's like, oh, there you go. That's the team defensively that we talked about that they could be before the year. But the Clippers didn't play great overall last night. This game was about one thing and one thing only. 3-point shooting and the Rockets being historically bad from 3-point line, not just because of some excellent Clippers defense, because of some bad luck. Like when I say the Rockets added variance, what do I mean? I mean, what does added variance mean? Their upside got way higher and their downside got way lower. Their best games will look better and their worst games will look like this. You look at the box score and it's like, okay, rebounds, assists, fouls, turnovers, all almost dead even. Points in the paint, second chance points, fast break points, add them all up, even. So how did the Clippers dominate? Oh, the Rockets started 2 of 30 from 3. They missed 18 threes in a row.
Got to shoot out of it.
And so that's all it was.
Shoot out of it.
Clearly that was their focus.
Clippers beat them by 18 points in the 3-point margin, and they beat them by 15 points in the game. You can say with total certainty when the Rockets shoot like this, they can beat no one, much less beat a good team as good as the Clippers. So to me, it is as simple as the worst shooting night of the season for Houston, playing a healthy, very good Clippers team. It's going to look as ugly as it did.
Now, you're right about the variance because this is a team that can go to a conference finals or lose very quickly in the first round based on the kind of stuff we saw last night. And really, it's the last 2 games that have concerned me about the Rockets and how they've lost. these games. You know, the Knicks went out there, and you may have missed it because they were fighting with Spike Lee. But
I was actually at the game, but go ahead.
Yeah, the Knicks, and they bullied them. They were big on the glass. They won the rebounding battle by, I think, 31. They had like 60-something points in the paint in that game. They were dominant on the inside. And then you have the Clippers come out. And yes, you're 100% right. The three-point shooting is the biggest takeaway from that game. But I'm looking at Zubac and Montrezl Harrell going for a combined 36 points in that game. Two big men on the floor making plays for the Clippers. And the Rockets simply don't have anyone, unless you're going to dust off Tyson Chandler at some point in the playoffs, to compete with those types of guys. So, you know, they're going to have to shoot like 40% from three most nights to be able to overcome that size differential.
So when I was in Bristol, I was the creative guy. And I would get invited to meetings that I didn't necessarily have to go to. Like, bring the creative guy. Let's see what he thinks. I was like, yeah, I'll go to that meeting. And one day someone came up to me and said, Kevin, do you want to go to a meeting about Google Glass? I said, oh, yeah, of course. Google Glass? Yeah, I want to go to the meeting. And I had watched all the videos online, and it was like, this is the future. These little things, and and it's augmented reality. And I was so excited to be in this meeting. We're waiting in the room. Google Glass, I'll give you a spoiler. Google Glass is the Rockets. I'm waiting in the room, and the two guys from Google open the door and come in the room. And they're wearing these ridiculous glasses. And I'm like, this is not going to work at all.
First impressions?
It's just not going to work.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not going to work. People are not wearing these things. That's what last night's game felt like to me. It's like, oh, throw it to the tall guy, and that loses you the game? I'm not worried about the missed threes. They go in, they don't. But when you start throwing it to the tall guy, and that's all it takes, I think the Rockets are done.
The only way I would push back on that is that
you
the
love
Rockets,
Google Glass.
Well, no, God no. The Rockets actually, the Rockets actually want you to throw it to the tall guy. Like they want to force you to take as many contested twos as you possibly can. Against the Lakers, they liked it when you dumped it into Anthony Davis and played dump and chase. The problem is when you can't make three on the other end consistently enough, you run into some big time problems. So I think the Rockets want you to play that game through Zubac or through Harrell or
100%.
But if you can't counter it.
Isn't the problem they just don't have a plan B? Like their plan A, when it works, is fantastic, but they don't have a second way to win games.
Oh, Jenna, that's spot on. And they are betting on their first way. They are betting on their first way that over a 2-week series, over a 7-game series, that this won't happen at all, and if it does, it'll only happen once. You bring up Zubac, and it's like, wow, he was 6 of 6. He had 12 rebounds, 23 points. Points in the paint last night. Rockets 52, Clippers 46. Believe it or not, the Rockets beat them on the inside. The reasoning, what happened was purely about three-point shooting. And your Google Glass analogy, I like it, but I also think that in 15 years, we're going to look back and say, oh, Google Glass didn't have it exactly right, but now everyone is watching stuff through their eyes. Or, you know what I mean? Some version of that, some better version. So maybe the Rockets don't have it exactly right, but this is the way, for good or for bad, the way the league is going. But no one wins games shooting like this. In the NBA this year, 26 times, there have been teams that have shot less than 17% from three. Those teams are 4 and 22. And those 4 wins came over Detroit, Washington, Atlanta, and Charlotte. This year, teams 14 times have been 7 of 35 from three or worse. The Rockets were 7 of 42. They're 0 and 14 are those teams. Like, you can't win games in the modern NBA or in any NBA. You said they're going to have to shoot 40%. They'd have won last night shooting 33% from three. It was, you know what it reminded you of? The Game 7 Western Conference Finals, the single worst loss of James Harden or Daryl Morey's careers, when you're at home against KD and the Warriors, no Chris Paul, and you miss 27 threes in a row. That is the downside of this. The downside of this style is they're never going to stop shooting, and they don't have a plan B.
All right, so we started the segment asking, was this more about the Clippers or more about the Rockets? We've talked about the Rockets. Aren't you a little impressed with what the Clippers have done? Either of you? We have talked about this stretch that they're on, and we would determine a lot about this team the way they come out on the other end. So far, they've lived up to it.
Well, look, I've always been bullish on the Clippers, and this season has not gone the way that Kawhi's first season or only season in Toronto went in terms of the seamlessness of the transition. They've had their ups and downs, the locker room stuff with some of the things that Harrell said. But when you put this team on paper, they can still do things like this every single night. They've got 2 elite wing players in Kawhi and Paul George. They've got a backcourt that works. I mean, I've always believed, Nick, and I know you're down on the Clippers as compared to the Lakers for sure, but you get this team into the playoffs and you give these guys 2 or 3 days in between games like they're going to get, they're going to be close. They're going to be as tough as anyone in the Western Conference.
So the Clippers were great, and you're right. I said this 5-game stretch, which was Nuggets, Sixers, Thunder, Rockets, Lakers, that they're in the midst of. I said we're going to see a lot about them. They're 4-0. Now, the Sixers game a little, when I said that, we didn't know they were going to be without Embiid and Simmons, but still, 4-0 is 4-0.
Sure.
So I have to give them credit. They're playing excellent basketball. But right now, to me, the Clippers are a stock that is at its apex. I think from this moment, I think right today, the narrative will be no one can beat the Clippers. And the Rockets right now are a stock that is as low as it will get all year. Right now, people are going to say, are the Rockets, can you even win a first-round series like this? I'll sell the Clippers stock and I'll buy the Rockets stock today. Anyone wants to do that trade.
I don't really understand that rush. Like, based on what? Like, you've got, outside of LeBron, the best playoff performer in the NBA over the last 5 years.
That's an outrageous comment.
I said outside of LeBron. Like, who would you put on that list outside of
the last 5 years or the last 8 months?
But he had, look, you go back to San Antonio, he had some good runs in the playoffs of San Antonio.
Okay, but we're going to, his finals MVP.
You're gonna know. You don't want to finals
his
MVP.
Finals MVP in 20, what year are we talking about? In 2014?
It was 2014, yeah.
Okay, so now we're 6 years ago. 2 years ago, he missed the season. The year before that, he was playing great until he got hurt in the playoffs. He was the best playoff performer for a month last year. That's it. So I will not concede you that. But what do I not like about the Clippers is very simple. There is a level of consistency that matters. And we say every year, health determines a lot. The team with the single biggest question mark at health up and down the roster is this team. So, yeah, are we going to guarantee full health for every team throughout the playoffs? Then it's a different story.